Okay, hello, this is Judd Vance, Bonding with Board Games. I'm here to review Counterattack, the Battle of Arras 1940. It is co-published by Take Aim Designs and Revolution Games. Came out 2018. I've been trying to get this one reviewed for a while, so it took Bart and I a little bit of time to catch up and get this done. I wanted to shoot a few. But yeah, this is Area Impulse game designed by Mike Rinnela. The artwork is done by Charles Keebler. So let's jump in and take a look at this. I want to cover some basics of what makes this different, because I've reviewed plenty of Area Impulse games by this tandem, Patton's Vanguard. I believe I did last Battle Aishima. You can check those out for a little bit more. I really wanted to go more because I figure if you're looking at this a lot, you're probably into Area Impulse. You want to know what's different about this, what's new. And I want to take a look at what's really unique, because this thing is a game changer. Okay, I'm just going to give a very brief overview, mostly on what makes this game different from a lot of Mike Rinnela's other designs. If you're familiar with his games, they're based on, a lot of them, the Area Impulse styles are based on Turning Point Stalingrad system, where units only flip when they take combat damage. As opposed to Storm over Arnhem, where you activate a unit and then flip it. Now, Mike did make Circle of Fire that did that, but that's his only one until now. These units are double-sided, and you probably recognize if you played like Storm over Arnhem, only one number for defense, and very clear as to which units have been activated. So you activate a unit, you move it, or you fight, and then you flip it. Here's what the map looks like of the area. Units, gray and black are German, blue are French, the khaki is the British. You might recognize parts from Area Impulse, the train numbers, and the defense modifiers you get for them. I'm not doing a real deep dive into how to play this game. It only has 10 pages of rules. I just want to point out what's a lot different from it. If you're familiar with these games, a lot of Mike's games are based on Turning Point Stalingrad. Units only flip when they take combat damage. And the other style of Area Impulse game was rooted in Storm over Arnhem, where units flip. This is closer to that style. This is a hybrid, but you might recognize, you flip the unit, it turns white, really clear to see that it's activated. When you activate, you move or combat and then flip, and all you have is a defense number that's quite a bit lower. Now, this isn't a Storm over Arnhem. Like I said, it's a hybrid. Where those Storm over Arnhem, the thing that was kind of a problem for me was it just took so long because everybody activated. When you played Vassal, I make a move, you go, I go. It just takes us forever to get through a turn. But the problem with the others, with the Sunset die rolls, which I do dearly love those games, was you had that unknown when's the turn going to end. But if you had turns ending fairly quickly, you would find that you would have units that never moved on the board. And, hey, guys, wait for me. I'm way, way, way behind. This takes care of all of it in a very cool, and this is a very original, most innovative idea since the Sunset roll. And I want to show this. When you do an impulse, you're going to do between 1 and 6 in a row. The way that works is after you make your move, you flip your units. Over here, you got this impulse track. You move it to if you want to take a second consecutive impulse, you can see, I don't know if you can see it on there or not. There's a die with the dice with a 1 on it. You have to roll higher than that number, and if you do, you can take a second impulse. If you want it after that, if you want to take a third consecutive impulse, there's a 1 and a 2 on there. So it gets increasingly harder. So by the time you're down here at the 5th impulse, if you want to get that 6th one, you've got to roll you got to roll a 5 or a 6. So I think I calculated, and the chance of actually pulling off 6 in a row is like 1 in 64. But the cool thing is you're trying to plan, and you don't know how many in a row you're going to get. So I might try to hit it with an artillery barrage and get some guys to retreat, and then send in some panzers or something to try to knock the rest out, and then I fail that impulse roll. The momentum. They call that momentum in this game. And that creates a fog of war that's it's mind-blowing when you play it. It's so fun. And leaves both sides wondering. At the same time, everybody, either play till everybody activates or both sides pass. If you don't want to take that next one, you just say, I pass, and the other guy says, well, I pass too, turn over. Each side has a reroll. Let's see, slide this up. Okay. You have a 1 reroll, because sometimes you can get extreme die rolls, and that's usually mitigated by the advantage marker. If you're familiar with these games, that you trade the advantage marker back and forth, and you can do combat rerolls or different things. This gives you each side a reroll, and then you'll have an advantage marker also. Doubles as the turn track marker. One of the cool things is you can't sit there and hoard the advantage marker. Well, I'm just going to get it in the first turn and just hold it for the whole game to keep it out of your hands. No, at the start of the turn, you're going to roll for initiative, and that person's going to get it. So if you had it and you didn't use it and you lost initiative, you lost it. So it motivates you. And their advantages, if British hold certain spots, they get a bonus roll on their initiative. You roll off for that initiative. So it does make you want to use that thing a lot more than you're used to in some of these games. The combat system is very similar if you're familiar with these games. It's not the Storm over Arnhems type where you can combat from an adjacent area. You actually have to move into it. You have to assault. So like this group here might want to assault here. They're going to go across the river and a bridge. You're gonna dice off for it, 2 dice, and then you're gonna add a modifier to it. Take your lead unit's attack or defense, depending on which side you are. You're going to get a bonus for each fresh unit you bring into the combat, because if they're flipped, you can't move them. And if there's leader, like the Rommel markers there, you're going to get a +2 on it. If you have combined arms, you see this anti-tank, infantry, armor, those kinds. If you can bring 3 different types in on your attack, you're going to get a bonus roll for combined arms. Crossing the river is going to give the other guy, the defender, a bonus. You add up your modifiers, roll them off. So yeah, if it's dice odds, you're managing your risk. So yeah, you could get a 12 and a 2 and see your totally awesome attack go. Weigh those risks, factor them in, and be judicious use of your combat reroll that you get once per turn, and the advantage marker, how you're going to use it. Also, if you fail your impulse momentum, you can spin that advantage marker to reset the thing back to 1 and flip units over on all sides. So there's a very unique use of how you use your advantage. Like I said, the combat system, if you know the game, the movement system in these games, and I've done plenty of reviews of these area impulse games too, if you want a deep dive. But like I said, 10 pages of rules, it's not that tough. I just wanted to highlight what was different about this game, and that is this momentum thing. This is radical. I've never seen anything like it. And I've been trying to figure out how to make it work on other games. Haven't succeeded in this. And I know the next one coming out about Corregidor, which is about to ship like any day now, is using this also. So that's really what I wanted to cover. The way to get victory in this game, there's an automatic victory for each. If the Germans can control the town of Arras and the Allies don't have at least 2 areas south of this river, which is pretty hard. You really got to mess that thing up, I think, for that to happen. Pretty tough. The other, I'm going to slide this map up. If the Allies can control one of these zones down here and trace a path back to the top, they're going to get an automatic victory, and that can happen. I was riding on the edge of my seat when I play this, trying to stop that from happening, because if you overcommit to hitting other areas, you can get really weak down there and leave that open. Other than that, that's the automatic instant victories. You see some of these areas here, red, they tell you, they have, these are victory point areas. Now, if the Allies control them, at the end of the turn, you decide how many of these areas they control, and you had a victory point track over here. There you go. And it's a running total, and if they hit 10 at the end, they win the game. Early on, they're going to get some, I don't know, around second turn or so, they're going to start getting them, and then the Germans will start to flip it around, and the Allies are trying to hold on to what they got. So it's kind of a push-pull. Something else neat on this game, over on this side, let me pull this over. The historical route was they went this way. You could go this way. He leaves it on the table for you, but if you do, you got some German units here that are very likely to release that are pretty tough. They can release at the end if you take the historical route, but the odds are a lot less, and they don't happen until pretty late in the game. Also, up in the corner, you got some German units, and you got some French units at the very top, and they have rules for when they can release. Also, if things get too bad for the Germans, these guys release. It's kind of like they're sending in the reinforcements to help them out. So you do have a little bit of a sandbox to play in that you can take non-historical routes and try out different strategies in the game. Okay, we're back. I'm going to take it out of the pouch in case there's a glare. Yeah, this thing it was so cool when right before I got it, I had it on pre-order. I'd asked Mike if he could send me the artwork so I could make the Vassal module, and I saw the impulse track had 6, and I thought he's doing a sunset die roll with 1 to 6, and I said, well, that's interesting. He said, oh, no, this is something completely new. So when I tried it, okay, I haven't played every area impulse game, but I would probably say I've played at least 3/4 of them safely. And whoa, I mean, okay, Storm over Arnhem totally changed how he gamed with that. And then the next big jump was Turning Point Stalingrad when he did the sunset die roll and brought the operational level to. And that's where most of the games went. You know, some of them went down the Storm over Arnhem path. They usually have Storm over Stalingrad, things like that. Most of them, and that's mainly because Mike Rinnela, I'm pretty sure he's designed more of these type of games than every other designer put together, and quite a bit more. He was a breakout Normandy champion, so it heavily influenced his design style. And the cool thing is you got this really solid system that works in a whole lot of different situations with just good principles, and then he's able to take this core base and then tweak it. Well, tweak it to match add the chrome rules to fit the battle, and it really kind of, whoa, that's pretty cool. Well, then he started doing this stuff. Okay, a lot of these games, one side was a lot stronger but was racing the clock. When he did Battle Axe, each side took turns taking big haymakers. I said the British come out swinging, and then the Germans come back swinging, and you're trying to hold on, and that was cool. Patton's Vanguard was all about maneuver. It wasn't the battle of attrition you see where you're pounding. If you try to play it like all the other games, you'll lose. This one, whoa, biggest change I've seen in 20 years. That momentum, sorry, I keep messing the word up, the momentum track, that is such a radical idea. These games play perfectly solo because there's no hidden information. The one fog of war that keeps you just from being like the Eurogamers, as I call Eurogamers, so I can plan this move 5 turns in advance and I have won the game. Or like how people treat me in chess. We set the game up. You just lost in 5 moves. You just don't know it. No, but you can't plan it because the sunset die roll was always the wild card in there. You can't necessarily get off everything you want. But this takes that fog of war, friction of war, fortune of war, however you want to look at it, whole new direction. Because you're trying to set up these offensives and you're pretty safe. Yeah, I can bombard an area, knock them out, come in at the panzers and finish them off, and you fail your momentum roll. And doggone, I had to get rid of the advantage marker because of a bad outcome earlier. So it really makes you think through all these parts and how you're going to plan your whole strategy and try to play the odds of how I'm going to manage my risk and well, like I was playing this guy in Vassal, and he was clobbering me, and then I started clobbering him, and I was sure I had him on the ropes. And I was doing the Bobby Fischer thing, because I hate it when you're playing Vassal and a guy and he feels obligated to keep it, and it's over. And I was like, do you just want to start it over? I said, I'm not trying to be condescending, but, I hate it when, I hate to watch a guy thinking he's suffering, and It's like, let's keep it up. Boy, a couple of turns, bam, and suddenly he had me on the ropes. And I was in danger of, instant lose. And I was like, whoa, this is really going push-pull back and forth. And it's just that crazy mechanic of that momentum roll is just, it makes the game so intense with how you pull these things off. And you don't have a lot of counters, so you're trying to plug the gaps, you're trying to cover the weak spots, and it just feels like I just need more. And each side's feeling that at different points. And I mean, it could even be in the same turn, different impulses. And the other really cool thing is I mentioned it, was that in some of the sunset die roll games, you end up with units that never move. In this one, everybody gets a chance to move. It doesn't move until every unit's flipped or both players pass. The turn keeps going, so everybody's involved. Now, this game doesn't have a ton of counters anyways, but it's nice to be able to get everybody out, and you don't have that kind of unrealistic situation of these guys hanging away in the back doing nothing, twiddling their thumbs. So the passage of time is captured better in this system. And this, I sat there and looked at it. I was like, okay, how can I apply this system to Battle Axe? I can't. I haven't figured it out yet, mainly because Battle Axe has reduced sides instead of just a reduced, with number 2 or something just for defense. And the closest one I've been able to think about is Circle of Fire, because it's more in the Storm over Arnhem system. But even then, I've ran into a couple of hiccups. But I've been trying. I mean, if I really dedicate, maybe I could figure it out. But I've been wanting to apply this system to other games, because that is how cool this thing is. And I don't know how far Mike's planning on taking this. I know his next game's on Corregidor. Right now it is January 19th. I've already pre-ordered. Supposed to ship this month. I know it's using it. And I'm really excited about where these area impulse games are going. And basically for me, Revolution has been, by themselves, they've been turning out hit after hit. I mean, I love what they do. They're not locked into one thing. They got the best branch of area impulse games with the Take Aim Designs partnership that they have. If you wonder what that is, basically Mike pays the artist, gets it how he wants, and then Revolution has the ability, the distribution network, the production sources, all that, and they split in profits, and I don't know exactly all that, but that's how that partnership basically works. So they got that branch, just owning the area impulse market. To me, they're just so far ahead of, there's not a lot others out there, but they're just so much better. And then they got the chip pull stuff, the Gazala Celis, and then the Blind Swords things with Herman Luttman, the Civil War games, the Washington's Crossing, Roger Miller. If you see this, we really need another game on that system, because that thing's awesome. So Revolution has been cranking out hit after hit for me, and I rarely ever see anything bad. And you never see their games broken, because I think Roger said he playtested everything, I don't know, 25 or 50 times before he ever pushes it any farther. And what I love, okay, some of their games have box and options for box or options for folio. I think this is only folio. I love it because it's thin. It takes up little space. I went to Walmart, got one of those, little shelving things. I can put my extra Ziploc bags, card sleeves in one drawer. I got my whatever C3Is magazines in there, Against All Odds in one. I've got a whole shelf dedicated, a whole drawer, big drawer dedicated to Revolution folio games, so they store easy. And this game, the other big advantage is I think it has like 11 pages of rules. There's a few more pages for examples of play and things like that. The rules are very concise, very clearly written. Game sets up quickly. This one's a little longer because the sunset die rolls sometimes you end turns early. So I would say this one is probably about 2 hours, maybe 2.5 if it runs really long or you're overthinking it. A lot of the games go 90 to 120. This one's probably add another 30 to it. But it's easy to set up, easy to take down, easy to play. So I've been saying for a long time, I think these are kind of, in a way, perfect games. They don't cost much, loads of replayability in them, cool options that you can try out, what they did historically, what they didn't, find out the results, tightly balanced. It's so just a big hit. It was my game of the year of 2018. I only got like 3 games published in 2018. I'm a lot more selective because I kind of look at a game and say, do I really need another Bulge game? It's probably good, but I'm really dissatisfied with what I have. Is it not scratching the itch? And if I get a game that makes me happy, I'm really not the kind of guy to go, grass is always greener. I hope. Because my mind just can't juggle that many rules. I just decided I wanted a set of games that about 200 or so that I could just solo I kind of come back to and figure them out pretty quickly. So that's been more, so I don't buy as much, but this thing would be my game of the year in a lot of years because it was that good. I keep kidding Mike that he's we're Facebook buddies. When are you going to hit your magnum opus, man? I said, I thought you had it with Battle Axe. Then I thought, then I was sure, okay, you'll never top Patton's Vanguard. Now I'm like, well, you're not going to top. No, actually, I'm not even saying he's hit it because I'm going to bet Corregidor's even better, but I don't know. I'll find out in a few weeks. But he just keeps cranking them out and just keeps raising the bar. So it's kind of fun trip to be on. So, anyways, that is, and I hope I'm saying it right. Counterattack the Battle of Arras, 1940.